Hey Mavericks fans, welcome to the CCR Roofing Summer Interview Series. I'm Ray Schmidt, and it's a pleasure to have with me the Mavericks General Manager, Brent Thiessen. Brent, thanks so much for taking some time to spend with us. I know you've been a busy guy, have a busy summer on your hands.
Absolutely, it's great to be here.
So, characterize this summer. What's it been like for you? Busier than normal, about the same, less? How's it been overall?
I think it's been an eventful summer for the Mavericks from a standpoint that, of course, we had to find a new head coach. We also have promoted from within a new director of ticket sales. We have a new director of communications. So I think we have some new personnel that always, I guess, makes it a little bit busier just to try and make sure that everybody's acclimated to the way that the Mavericks do things, and of course, mentioning the head coach, that was a big search and a big process, and one that you always want to make sure that you get it right. So I think it's safe to say it's been a very eventful summer.
So when it comes to the summer, the off season, and I don't want to make assumptions, but are you ever able to catch your breath at all? Because I know during the season you're traveling with the team, you're working with the hockey operations, but the summer's that critical stage as well where you have to focus on building the fan base and some of the front office moves like you mentioned.
Absolutely. I mean, I think to your point, the summer is absolutely critical to what you're doing during the season. I mean, that's where you're planning and laying out everything that you're going to be doing, and it's incredibly important that you get that right and that you put in the work in the summer. So, there's always moments where you can kind of catch your breath, and I think that's equally as important. You have to make sure that you take a little bit of time to enjoy your family and get away from I guess the grind and the hustle here. But sometimes that's difficult to do because there's always seems to be something going on.
Now I know that you had some time with your family away from the office not too long ago over the summer. When you get away like that, are you ever able to fully unplug? I know that with cell phones now, everybody's kind of connected to the work even when they're not at the office, but can you ever fully get away from it?
I think for the most part you try to. I don't know if there's ever anything that exists like a fully being able to unplug. I think always being close to your phone is something that is important for this job, because there's a lot of people who for one reason or another may have a question or may have something that you're needed for. So I'm not going to say that it's impossible to get away and unplug, but at the same point in time, I think it's difficult for long periods of time.
Now for you, you've been in the hockey business for over a decade. You've had stops with teams in the Central League. You've won Executive of the Year awards. You've been in the National Hockey League. So there's a lot of experience behind what you do. When you have a major decision, we talked about bringing in a new head coach for the Mavericks, John Scott Dixon, the third head coach in Mavericks history. How much do you lean on your experience? How does it influence your decision making, the experience that you've built up when you have a major decision like that on your plate?
Well, I think you lean on it a lot. I think you go back and really try and figure out what it is that we're looking for, what it is that the Missouri Mavericks need. I think you mentioned some of the accomplishments and some of the stops that I've had, but more so really than looking at any of those situations, you really try to look at what the Missouri Mavericks need. And I think that having two coaches under our belt, with Scott Hillman and Richard Matvechuk, both entirely different, almost opposites in a lot of ways. You really try and look at what direction do we want to take the Missouri Mavericks moving ahead, and I think that's something that you draw on your past experience, and you learn what has worked, what hasn't at this level, where you want to try and be, and I think that you can kind of take a little bit of everything that you've learned over the course of your career to try and to evaluate that and make a good decision.
So take us inside the coaching search a little bit. I know during John Scott Dixon's press conference you mentioned that hundreds of resumes were sent in for this job. There was interest from people in the National Hockey League level all the way down through the junior ranks. So take us inside the search. There were some moving parts. You were involved in the decision. Mavericks owner Lamar Hunt was involved in the decision. How did all those pieces come together?
Well, I think when you're looking at hiring a head coach, it's truly one of the more difficult processes that you can go through. There's a tremendous amount of qualified individuals out there, and it's actually kind of fun to speak with all of them. But at the end of the day, you can only have one coach, and I think that you kind of look at all the qualifications that come through, and I think before the process even begins, you really try and outline, I guess, what it is that you're looking for. And we were able to do that very early and go through the process. And I think that as you alluded to, we had a lot of guys that had great experience as a head coach. We also had a lot of guys that really had good resumes that were up and coming guys. And I think that you kind of go through that, and it's an exhausting process. It really is, because there's a lot of really great guys that you could see being here with the Missouri Mavericks. But we couldn't be happier with the way things turned out. We feel we got the right guy, and we feel like John Scott's going to be the guy that is going to get us to where we need to be.
Now, you talked about how you outline what you're looking for before the process even begins, and I would imagine like some coaches have a list of players that they might want to bring in the instance that call-ups or injuries happen. I'm sure you had a list of candidates internally that you thought you might be interested in should this situation arise. But with all that said, do you ever feel pressure to know that you're making the right decision because it is so big?
Yeah, without a doubt. I mean, you don't want to get it wrong. I mean, it's an extremely important decision, and that weighs heavy on you. I mean, I think that again, going back, there were a lot of great qualified candidates to be the next coach for the Missouri Mavericks, but we feel like we got the right guy. But throughout that process, it's one that absolutely you feel a lot of pressure, and you definitely want to continue the strong tradition that the Missouri Mavericks have started here, and we want to continue. So absolutely, I mean, I think that you definitely feel that. But at the end of the day, I think we're all very happy with the end result.
And you talk about John Scott Thiessen being the right fit for this team moving forward as the head coach. Looking at some of the reaction after his press conference, there was a lot of praise from fans and media alike that he was the right hire. And from an outsider's perspective, you look at the timeline, it went from June 2nd, when it was announced that Richard Matvichuk was moving on, to the press conference to introduce John Scott Thiessen on June 30th. So less than a month's time passed between those two announcements. So with all that being said, what made John Scott Thiessen the right candidate for this team moving forward?
Well, I think first and foremost, we knew John Scott. I mean, John Scott's a guy that has been here for several years, both as a player and as a coach, and so he's a known quantity. You know what you're going to get with him, and I think that really he embodied a lot of those characteristics that we had outlined at the get-go for the person that we would be looking for to replace Richard Matvichuk. So we knew obviously of his abilities, but to your point, I mean, it's less than a month. It is a very exhausting process. I mean, when you're getting as many emails and resumes as you are, to go through those and to give the candidates the appropriate amount of time and consideration for the position, it takes a lot of hard work. And you know what? We went through that process. We did that. We brought in candidates. We narrowed it down to a finalist. We brought them in. We toured the area with them. We got to know them a little bit, got to know their philosophies a little bit. And again, at the end of the day, we felt as though we had the right guy right under our nose, and he was right there, and he's a perfect fit. And I think again, kind of going back to that, he's a guy that is going to work extremely hard, and I think that's number one on our list, is a guy that is going to work hard. Number two, he's got his own identity, and again, we had that with Scott, and now we have and then of course Richard, and now we've got that with John Scott. So this is his team. This is going to be his brand of hockey, and he's going to do what he feels is necessary, and he has all of our support.
When you talk about that work ethic, it's interesting to me because having seen assistant coaches at the ECHL level, I know what goes into that job, cutting tape late at night, working on specialty teams tactics, working maybe with the defensive core specifically, a lot of time on the ice at practice, maybe after practice is over, working on extra things with guys who are maybe trying to crack the lineup on a regular basis. And a unique aspect to me, despite the differences between Richard Matvichuk and John Scott Thiessen, their personalities, their coaching styles, they both came into the Mavericks head coaching job after time as an assistant coach. So what are some of the traits that you look at that makes it possible for a coach to move from an assistant position into the head coaching position and be successful?
Well, I think that's a great question. I think the first thing that we looked at, of course, was does John Scott have the capacity or the wherewithal from an X's and O's standpoint? And very clearly the answer is yes on that. He's been around the game. He's won a national championship. He's been a very successful player. He's played at the highest level. And then, of course, being a coach and learning really under Richard Matvichuk and to a certain degree Scott Hillman as well. I think he's been able to see two very different coaching styles as well as learn the game from a coaching standpoint. So I think that the very first qualification you got to have is knowing the game, and very clearly he can. The second one is being able to communicate with the players. The game is changing. The game is getting a lot younger. You're seeing a lot of younger guys coming through, especially with our affiliation, and guys aspiring to make the National Hockey League. And when that's the case, the game has certainly changed throughout my career, where the communication with the players is incredibly important. And so I think you look at a guy like John Scott, and he has that ability. I think when you talk with the players, and they appreciate very much the way he approaches his day-to-day job duties and the communication that he gives to those players. So I think that's incredibly important as well, to be able to have good communication. And then, of course, work ethic. This is not a job that is a 40-hour-a-week job. I think you know that very well. But I think he's got a very young family, and sometimes that's very difficult. But he's always been a professional. And everything that he does, the way he handles himself is professional. On and off the ice. And I think that that's really what the Mavericks are looking for: somebody that can be a professional and represent the brand and us, and work hard and obviously have goals that align with where we're trying to be, and that's to win a championship. And I think he'd be the first one to tell you that it's all about the team, and it's all about getting a championship and bringing it here.
So we're talking about John Scott Thiessen and his role as the new Mavericks head coach, a major storyline for the Mavericks over the course of the summer. Naturally, something that might be a little under the radar but still going to have a big influence on how the team performs on the ice over the course of the season is the affiliation with the New York Islanders. Going into year 2 of the affiliation, last year winning 52 games, winning the regular season championship, the Brabham Cup. How do you assess the way year 1 went with the Islanders as their ECHL affiliate, and what do you look for in year 2 moving forward?
Well, I think the relationship is outstanding. We've got a wonderful working relationship with them, and I think one of the things that we very much appreciate is them giving us the opportunity to develop some of their players, and by that really have an invested interest in how the Missouri Mavericks are doing. And I think we saw that last year with the amount of players that we had that were Islander property, and of course we had our first player that made the National Hockey League with Ross Johnson, and really just kind of an exciting year. There was a lot of back and forth, guys moving up to the American Hockey League and coming back, and I know sometimes that's difficult on the fans, but from a player standpoint, that really helps out from a recruiting standpoint. Guys want to come play for the Missouri Mavericks because they know that there's an opportunity there to advance and to grow their career. So I think that it's been a great relationship. It really has. We had a great year with them, and we're looking for the same thing. I mean, we want the ability to work with the Islanders and have some of their prospects here. and hopefully again graduate them to the next level and ultimately to the National Hockey League someday. So we just want to be that team that helps in that development process and make sure that we're doing everything that we can to develop these guys and to get them up to that next level.
It really is a special thing when you see a player who starts here continue that development, that skill development, and graduate to the National Hockey League one day. And I'm sure you've gotten this question from fans over the course of the summer, and they're curious to know there are a ton of variables that play into it, injuries during training camp, players who exceed expectations early on. But do you have a sense of maybe how many players, what type of players the Islanders might send down to the Mavericks for the season?
That's a great question. One of the things, we talk with the Islanders regularly. It's something that we're in constant contact with them. And as part of that, we do have a good idea of who's going to be here and I guess starting the season with the Missouri Mavericks. That being said, as you alluded to, a lot of things can change. It's as we're sitting here in August. I mean, there's trades, there's injuries, there's early excellence by players that'll elevate their status or allow them to move up the ladder. So a lot of things can happen. But that being said, we do have a very good idea as to who is going to be here and how many guys we're going to be getting from the New York Islanders.
Excellent. So our conversation so far has focused a lot on the on-ice product, and that's something that the fans are hugely interested in, no doubt. But your role comprises both the on-ice product and then the off-ice issues as well, the business side of things, building the season ticket base, making sure the stands are full every day, corporate sales, things along those lines. And we've seen the Mavericks adjust well to life in the ECHL on the ice, as we mentioned with the 52 wins last year. Off the ice, on the business side, how is the health of the organization? How have things been evolving and adjusting since moving to the ECHL?
Well, I think we couldn't be happier with where we're at. You look at the ECHL. I think from a fan standpoint, it's a very exciting league. You look at all the teams from Alaska to Florida to New York to Utah. I mean, it's we've got a really good league. We got a lot of teams coming in to our arena for the very first time this year, which is from a fan standpoint extremely exciting. So I think when you start looking at where we are from a Missouri Mavericks standpoint, the health of the franchise, the future is very bright. And Lamar Hunt Jr. has done a tremendous job. I can't say enough about him and the ownership and guidance and leadership that he brings to this team. You look at this year, and we're looking to expand our television presence throughout the Kansas City area. There's a lot of big things. We want to grow hockey throughout the entire region, and I think we're well on our way to doing that. So, it's been a very fun ride, and I know we've talked a little bit about this is the 8th season of the Missouri Mavericks, and having been here since day one, I've seen a lot of changes, but I can tell you that the Missouri Mavericks brand right now is very, very strong, and we're very excited about season 8, and quite frankly, and beyond.
Absolutely. And, we talk about the 52 wins and how important that is to the fan base. And for all the success the Mavericks have enjoyed on the ice, there's always been that solid fan base supporting this team, consistent 5,000 and up average attendance per game. And that's not an easy thing to do in any climate. This team came into existence when the economy in the U.S. wasn't great, but fans were still filling this building, coming out to see this team. And there are challenges on both sides, both aspects of your job, keeping a competitive team on the ice and keeping the stands full. After doing it here in Kansas City area for the last 7 years, going on to the 8th year, can you compare a little bit what the challenges are like? Is there one aspect that's more challenging than the other, keeping the stands full versus keeping the team successful on the ice?
Depends when. It depends when. Obviously, when you look at team performance, we've gone through slumps. We've gone through tough times, and I don't think that's very fun. Everyone's doing whatever they can to make sure that this team is competitive competitive. That has been one thing that the Missouri Mavericks have built our brand on, is putting a competitive team on the ice. And so when you go through those slumps and stretches where you just may not be finding the back of the net, or you just can't find a W anywhere, those are tough on everybody. And I think that you do everything that you can to try and figure out a way to get out of those. And hopefully that they figure out a way to get out. But on the flip side of that, all of us have an opportunity to come to work and be in this business because we sell tickets. And the community here has been unbelievable since day one. And we've adopted a phrase, and we've got a wonderful sign in the locker room here that to be a Maverick is to live with an attitude of gratitude. And I think one of the best parts of working for this team and being part of this brand is the ability to give back. And we do a lot in the community, and really have an opportunity to be involved in a lot of different things that hopefully touches a lot of lives in and throughout Kansas City. And I think that certainly has helped really bring this product and the players closer to this community. And in turn, the community has supported us from day one and just been remarkable. I think almost to a player, every single one of them would tell you that this is one of the best, if not the best place to play in the ECHL with the fan base that we have.
Now, you talk about the community work that the team's done, and I'm glad you brought that up because that was where I was going with my next question. About a month ago, the team published a report highlighting its community contributions over the last year for the 15-16 season. In that time, nearly $300,000 in total contributions to the greater Kansas City area, which is a huge number. And in the history of the organization, that number is well over $1 million. So that's incredible to think about for a team at this level making such an impact in the community. And with different staff members having come and gone and different ownership now than when the Mavericks first began, I'm kind of curious to know what's the driving force behind that community effort. You talk about having the attitude of gratitude, but where does that driving force come from, and is it ever difficult to maintain such a commitment to the community over the course of the season when things can get so hectic?
Well, the last part of your question there, I don't think it's difficult at all because it's a priority that we've had since day one. When we came in here, 7 years ago, almost 8 now, 7 years ago, we made a promise that we were going to be part of this community, not try and take it over. Mm-hmm. And really what we meant by that was we want to be very, very involved. We want to be hands-on. We want to roll up our sleeves. We want to get involved with as many different organizations and groups that we possibly can. And really we want to use our place in this community as a professional sports team to really bring people together. And I think that we have been able to do that, but that's something that never ends. That's not something that you accomplish and can say, hey, I've arrived and I'm here and we don't need to do it anymore. That's an effort that is ongoing, and we firmly believe that. We believe that we're here to bring people together, whether it be Independence or Kansas City as a greater area, whether it be to grow hockey as a whole and to get more kids playing the sport, or whether it's to help great organizations and causes that are here locally that do really, really great things for a lot of people. So it's been a priority, again, kind of going back to what we talked about. To be a Maverick is to live with an attitude of gratitude. These players understand and are told day one, if you're going to play here in front of the best fans and be supported every night, then we have to support them. And in turn, then we have great players that give a lot of themselves and their time to go out and help various causes and charitable organizations.
That's really one of the best things about hockey at this level, is the connection that fans and players are able to develop between one another. You just don't see that as you go higher up on the rung of professional hockey. So it's something that makes hockey here in general special, but particularly with the Mavericks. Well,
and I think you look at some of the guys that have been here for a long time, especially like a guy like Andrew Courtney. Mm-hmm. He knows exactly what it's like to be a Missouri Maverick and what it means to be a Missouri Maverick, and he's going to help a lot of those younger players as they come in to say, hey, this is what we do here, and this is how we give back and how we help. And I think it's been probably one of the most rewarding things for me in my position here, especially since I've been here since day one. fun to watch all of those opportunities that we've had and participated in to help various causes and charitable organizations. And the one thing that I can tell you is, excuse me, since Lamar purchased the team, I mean, Lamar is incredibly charitable and one of the most generous men I know. And he does such tremendous work in and throughout Kansas City with so many different things. But he's really kind of allowed the Missouri Mavericks to take that to another level and really make a difference in this community. And I think that's again something that I don't think everyone has an opportunity out there in their day-to-day jobs to be able to make a difference like we do in professional sports a lot of times. So that's fun and rewarding in and of itself.
Absolutely. Well, Brent, we've covered a ton of ground so far in our conversation. It's been great getting a chance to sit down and pick your brain a little bit about everything that's been going on with the team over the summer. But I think it's an appropriate time to have a little bit of fun with some rapid fire questions, lighten it up a little bit. So you feel ready?
I'm ready.
All right, cool. So we'll kick it off. The Summer Olympics are huge right now, obviously in Rio. So winter sports guy, general manager of a hockey team, but what's your favorite Summer Olympic event?
Summer Olympic event. You know what? We've been enjoying watching the Olympics, my wife and I, and I'd have to say, I mean, obviously absent hockey in the Winter Olympics. I think the swimming has been fun to watch. I've got a nephew that made the Olympic trials this year, and he's a 15-year-old, and we hope to maybe travel to Tokyo.
There you go.
In 4 years. So that's been a lot of fun to watch, and I think probably having somebody as in the family that does it so well, and you can kind of compare those times to the times that are being posted. That's been a lot of fun. So we're enjoying the swimming.
Great. Now the Mavericks wear a lot of specialty jerseys over the course of the season, helping out with a lot of those charitable causes that you mentioned. Chris Sale, the Chicago White Sox, had some infamy over the summer for cutting up a specialty jersey that he was supposed to wear on a day that he started. What would your reaction be if a Mavericks player went Chris Sale on a specialty jersey?
Well, it wouldn't be good. Again, I think that's something that we covered a couple questions ago, where to be a Maverick is to live with an attitude of gratitude. So the specialty jerseys that we wear, we raise money for charitable organizations. So if a player decided to put his own preferences and his own personal feelings ahead of those charitable organizations that we feel are beneficial for the community, and that would not sit very well. So I think I'd struggle with that one.
Kind of thought that might be the case. What's your ideal summer getaway?
Ideal summer getaway. You know what? I think that's a great question. As far as location, the beach is always great. I don't know how exciting of an answer that is, because I think probably everyone would tell you that. But really just enjoy my family. In this business we go hard during the season, and it's pretty much every weekend. So just having an opportunity when the kids are out of school to enjoy them and get a little bit of time. I've got a senior at home, or going to be a senior, so we know our time with him is dwindling before he's off to college and doing his own thing. So I think just enjoying the family and getting away really anywhere is fine with me.
Now, if I'm remembering correctly, I believe you carry a finance degree, correct?
Correct.
I'm always curious to know this, because your job is so involved, and you said it takes up a lot of time, but if you weren't running the Mavericks, what would you be doing?
That's a good question as well. I think really, when I went to school, I wanted to do something in the financial world, as my degree indicates. But I think I've always been intrigued by Wall Street in some capacity, whether it be a financial analyst of a company or several companies, or doing something in that sector is probably something I would have gravitated to. Hockey's my passion. I absolutely love the game and been around it since I was born. So it's been something that has been a very big blessing in my life. It has brought or taken my family and I across the country and with a lot of different stops. But you know what? We've absolutely loved Kansas City and Independence, and as we talked about, this is the eighth season that we're going into, and it's just a really great spot to have a family. So, you know what? I think it's a tough question, but probably something in the financial world.
Maybe a little easier on this side. Summertime, everybody loves cookouts, breaking out the grill. Do you have a favorite summer cookout food?
Summer cookout food, hamburgers. Hamburgers are good. They're always easy. Yeah, I mean, let's go with hamburgers.
All right. Nice classic choice. So now to wrap up, wax nostalgic a little bit if you can. Over the course of your 8 seasons with the Mavericks, what's been your favorite moment?
Oh, that's a difficult question. I think, I think one of the things that we pride ourselves on with the Missouri Mavericks is doing a lot. And I think that when you look over the course of 8 seasons, we have done a tremendous amount. And really, on the ice, there's been so many moments that I've been incredibly proud of. I think probably maybe one of the all-time best memories is beating Wichita in the playoffs in the deciding game and clinching that series. I think that was a lot of fun. The building was electric, and just fun watching the guys get so excited, and obviously I wish that could have been the championship, but beating a rival like that in a deciding game is always exciting. We've had a couple Game 7s and haven't fared as well, and those are the ones that probably stick with you a lot longer. I remember a Game 7 in Fort Wayne. That was a difficult loss for us. But there's been several. Obviously, Allen has had a Game 7 victory as well. So, it's those ones are the tough ones. But there's so many good memories. I think it would probably be very unfair to pick one. But again, I think off the ice as well, we really have had some tremendous moments, and really just some exciting times to be part of this brand and to be part of this team. So, I'm thankful for that every single day, and I think to some of the points we've spoken to earlier, I'm very excited about season 8 and beyond, and I think that we're going to continue to make a lot of those great memories.
Well, there really isn't much that matches up to the intensity, the emotion of an elimination playoff game, so not surprised to hear you go that route. But Brent, it's been a wonderful conversation. Thank you again so much for joining us here on the CCR Roofing Summer Interview Series, and look forward to catching up with you again as the season goes on.
Absolutely, appreciate it.